this clock. We are going to get the ball rolling here and start the meeting for the evening. My name is Paul Porter. I am newly elected chairman of the Planning and Zoning. So if you wonder why someone different is doing all the talking tonight, that's because they made me do it. So welcome everyone. We will start as we usually do with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, the first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. I know Darren was pretty busy and the minutes didn't arrive until this afternoon. Did everyone get a chance to review them? If not, that can be put off to next month if necessary. Are we all comfortable approving the minutes?
I think we should guess everything. Do we need to change the spelling bylaws?
Anything need to be changed?
You would change spelling?
Depends.
Okay, I can wait.
It's somebody's name or something.
Oh no, it's
significant.
bylaws.
All that. The spelling of bylaws is debatable.
Oh, is it? Okay.
If we're comfortable with the minutes, we would take a motion to approve.
I move we approve the minutes.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes from the last meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The minutes have been approved unanimously. The next item on the agenda is zoning case number Z2402, Kenneth Sloan. Is someone from this project here to represent and would like to tell us about it? Come on up to the microphone, introduce yourself, and tell us what your plans are. Are you able? Sure. Well, we need it to go on the live stream, so we need the microphone.
I'm Kenneth Sloan. I own 160 acres over on the address on 15 on the County Line Road. I'm selling my grandson 5 acres of that ground on this southwest corner. No, on the northeast corner of that ground. That's all I need.
And does anyone have any questions? Was everyone able to look at the plan? And anyone have any questions for Mr. Sloan?
Does that land have access from the road?
Yes, it does. It's on blacktop. You bet.
Any other questions for Mr. Sloan? If not, Darren, could you give us your findings?
Thanks. Case number Z24-02, Kenneth Sloan, 8486 1525 Road, Centerville, Kansas. Seeking approval of rezoning from ag to countryside for the purpose of a lot split. Applicant has been approved for a lot split of 5 acres to keep and sell the remaining acreage to family. Under current zoning ag, the parcel is below the minimum 10-acre size and requires rezoning to countryside. The proposed zoning change conforms to the character of the neighborhood by providing the combined usage, neighboring agricultural zone properties, and are of large size. Property is suitable for permitted use of the proposed countryside zoning and will not negatively affect nearby properties. The proposed rezoning of the land creates no change or effect of surrounding properties and not create any additional infrastructure needs. The proposed change conforms to the comprehensive plan by allowing more land to be kept in large agricultural parcels and not changed to residential designation. The standards that should apply are listed in Article 20, and with the proper findings as required in Golden versus the City of Overland Park, staff recommends approval of this application.
Does anyone have questions for Darren? Is there anyone in the gallery that has questions about this project? All right. Any discussion amongst the,
I'll make a motion to approve. I'll second that one.
all right, it's been moved and seconded to approve this rezoning, Z2402. All those in favor? Any discussion? Oh, I almost missed it. Any discussion? All right, if there's no discussion, we will go ahead and vote. All those in favor of this rezoning?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? It is passed unanimously. Thank you all for your help. All right, the next item on the agenda is Mr. Mark Briggs to come and speak with us. Please step up to the microphone and introduce yourself.
Kind of a lengthy read I've got.
I'm sorry.
It's a little bit of a lengthy read I've got.
I
I'm just kidding. I'm gonna take it easy on you.
believe
I know tonight's your first night, Paul. I'm
I
gonna
believe
be,
Aaron discussed with you a 5-minute limit.
I'll try to make it fit. I think I can. All right. Hello, planning and zoning. I'm Mark Briggs. I live at 24577 East 2000 Road in Lacine. I'm here tonight to speak about the overwhelming response we received from the public forum on March 4th. First, I would like to recognize that all possible avenues were utilized in informing the public of this meeting. Between written responses and attendances, there were 470 opinions collected. The written response had 256 testimonies, 7 proponents, 3 neutral, and 246 opponents. 96% of the respondents did not want industrial solar in Linn County. The public forum had 11 proponents, 26 neutral, and 177 opponents. 82% of the responses did not want industrial solar in our county. Where do we go from here is the look on everyone's face. You now have the data you need to update the 2022 comp plan. The information from the public forum needs to replace the survey that was conducted while working on the 2022 comp plan. We know there was confusion on the survey. People didn't understand the questions that were asked. The citizens of the county have now been educated, and they understand what was being discussed at the public forum. What is a county without citizens? They have shown you that they do not want industrial solar, and it does not match up with our comp plan. Some things listed in the comp plan that I think we need to be conscious of. Protect and enhance the rural character of the county. Manage and minimize adverse effects on intrusive developments and land uses. Maximize the economic impacts of heritage tourism and outdoor recreation. Expand the options for amenities, entertainment, and opportunities for the public to enjoy the county's parks and open spaces and trailways. Encourage the conservation of existing natural and agricultural areas. Here are the top 5 things listed as the most important attributes of Linn County. The lakes, rivers, waterways among the communities and potential for future promotion and growth. The natural beauty, scenery, wildlife for the outdoor recreation and enjoyment. The history and heritage of the county. Agricultural and farms throughout the county. And safe rural and small town atmosphere for peace, quiet, country living, and freedom. I could go on all night how the comp plan does not support industrial solar. Currently, there are 212 counties across the country and 4 counties that have a prohibition on industrial solar in Kansas. Many other counties are in a moratorium and have been following our meetings closely over the past several months. Linn County would be the 5th county in Kansas to place a prohibition on industrial solar. You can see from tonight, from the attendance of this meeting, that the citizens are here to support you in voting for a prohibition on solar. I would love to see you vote tonight and take these findings to your commissioners on Monday morning, but I understand if legally that is not possible. If that is not possible, then we need to have a plan moving forward to find the facts and move forward with a prohibition. I would like to see workshops starting this week and schedule a special meeting within the next few weeks, following with a recommendation sent to the commissioners. The Planning Commission is very educated on this topic now. They've worked on it for over 2 years. I believe you will have no problem finding the facts from our comp plan. I will end with, I do appreciate all the work that has been done and will be done in the future. I think everyone on the board is very open-minded and are deep thinkers. I will continue to follow the meetings as this is resolved because I have learned that every citizen needs to be part of their county. I appreciate the time you give me tonight to come up here and speak. I'd love to answer any questions that any of you may have.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Briggs?
Without questions, I will say, I did print off the prohibitions or resolutions from the 4 other counties. I think only 3 because I could only find 3 of them.
Okay.
And I did a rough draft of Linn County's, just, I know you guys will do a great job and just maybe somewhere to start. So I will hand this out to everybody.
What do you suggest? How do you suggest we wrap up this ad hoc, So,
I think I think the best way to do it is start a discussion tonight and figure it out. I think due to some of the legalities of it, I think it's best for the planning and zoning to meet first. You guys know more of that area than I do, but I think the citizens have spoke, and I think our comp plan, reading through it, I read through it all day yesterday and last night, that there's a overwhelming response that you can find out of there that will give you guys a very good finding facts. And I just highlighted some key ones, maybe to get the conversation started for you guys. If I know we have the ad hoc going, I don't know if you want ad hoc to be part of that or not part of that. I just think we need a plan of how we're going to move forward.
I totally agree. We need a plan moving forward. I think there are, I don't know that we're in a position tonight to start to develop that plan. Simply because of timing and time in this particular meeting. But I totally disagree. I'm sorry. I totally agree with what you're asking for as far as we need steps moving forward to make it more concrete. Finishing out the ad hoc meeting is a bit of a necessity, even if it appears from maybe your perspective as a technicality. I think because the commissioners have tasked us with that, and after multiple requests have continued to task us with that, to make a definitive decision regarding the regulations prior to winding that down appropriately, whatever that looks like. I think that timing is important so that we make sure our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed in respecting what they have requested us to do. Does that make sense? I mean,
So I don't even know if they know exactly what they requested us to do, because I had gone in there and
well, yeah.
and they told me I was
I'm just
supposed.
trying to
I know.
respond a little bit to what you requested as far as the steps that I see that would need to take place. If we want to open up discussion tonight for a meeting dedicated to reviewing the regulations as far as beginning to do exactly what you're talking about, we can start that discussion. But the problem is ending the ad hoc and the timing of, and knowing when that's going to happen and getting the results from that back to us is all just this kind of catch-22 tumble that I can't predict.
Well,
Sure.
I got some, go ahead.
I, I hear what you're saying, Paul. We've all spent an enormous amount of time on this, and we're going to continue to spend an enormous amount of time. I feel like if we don't start getting a feel for where we're at, and I can tell you my opinion based on where we're at right now, I'm for putting a prohibition on it. And I don't feel like I want to waste a whole bunch more of my time doing it until we can get a group consensus. If everyone disagrees with me, then I'm fine with continuing to work on the regulations. Oh, I would like to make a motion. We put it to a vote tonight, to put a prohibition on industrial solar.
Can we have some discussion on that before?
I think we should.
I think I'm pretty much in line with Daniel.
Hang on just a second.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time. I think as far as
I'll hand these out.
agenda time, we're going to discuss amongst ourselves. I am very grateful to the investment you've made in this. I know it's been a great personal sacrifice. I don't want to dismiss or overlook that whatsoever. I do see your hand. He was on the agenda, and we're going to talk amongst ourselves right now. I appreciate your interest in this matter, but I think the agenda item is done. We're going to do some discussion here about the motion that has been brought to us, and that will not require any further input from the gallery right now.
Okay, so, I'm pretty much in step with what Daniel said. My concern is that if we do go ahead with prohibition, we have a rock solid plan. And I don't think we're at the point where we can develop that. Frustration is also apparent at these ad hoc meetings. We have come to consensus on several things. There's been other things we haven't been able to come to consensus on. And Rich has had a heck of a job trying to come to consensus when you can't vote. All we're doing is by a nod of heads. My suggestion would be, let's do I want one more ad hoc. Let's identify what we have come to consensus on. Then let's simply identify the deltas we have or the differences we have on the other regulations that we can't come to consensus on, and get that to the Planning and Zoning Committee so that we can vote, because the Planning and Zoning Committee can vote, the ad hoc committee can't. That's going to take either a special meeting or a meeting next month, but we need to get past this ad hoc deal. And the only way I see, we have been charged by the commissioners to get it done. The only way I see to get it done is identify where we are, because we have come to consensus on a lot of things. Identify the differences and get those differences to this committee.
Agree. We've come to consensus on some things, and the things that I feel like I've come to consensus on is if we don't put a prohibition, that's where I feel like we need to be. But I'm telling you, I will be the first one to vote for a prohibition at this point in time. So we can continue to work through all these regulations. But if we're going to come to a consensus that there's a prohibition, and maybe we never will, I just feel like we're spinning our wheels on regulations that aren't going to be put in place. And I think that's been a lot of people's point from the beginning on this thing.
Well, I think that's, if you have that special meeting to wrap up the ad hoc amongst the planning committee, then that's when you've got time to go into the prohibition and what we need to do to get that done, if that's what we're going to do.
I'd like to see us postpone it till after that, because I think that we need to finish that up.
Yeah, I agree with David. I think the logical approach to this is let's finish this task. We're just about done. And there's a possibility we can wrap it up in one more meeting. And then we've got a plan A and a plan B. And I think that's just It's the way we ought to go.
If we're, well, I have some other, one of my biggest concerns is just timing and totally juggling the timing and trying, when push comes to shove, we work for the commissioners. And I'm concerned about sewing that up and honoring what they've asked us to do. I know it's been herky-jerky. I know it's been confusing, but I believe finishing out the process is, if nothing else, for integrity's sake, worth one more meeting. I have something that may seem unrelated, a concern about trying to make a decision tonight. The commissioners are on their back foot trying to deal with the lack of a county counselor. And this issue, in my opinion, is probably one of the biggest decisions we're going to have to make in decades. It definitely needs its own meeting. It definitely needs the full attention of the commissioners. It will, no matter what we decide, no matter what we pass on to the commissioners, it will need significant legal review because there's a lot of tension on both sides and there's money and lawyers happening. I don't want to put them in a vulnerable position of having next Monday this decades significant issue dumped in their lap when they're just trying to figure out how to ask the lawyer whether or not what they did in their meeting was the right thing. It just puts them in a very vulnerable position. And I feel like that just does a disservice to them. That's my personal opinion, trying to put myself in their shoes. Obviously, it's their thing to figure out. We have Burton as a backup quarterback. But in my opinion, it is an issue for us to consider. And I don't want to feel rushed. Like David said, whatever decision we make, it needs to be a solid decision. It needs to have as much of a strong consensus as we can offer. Any gray area is only going to leave doubt. It's only going to leave somebody else saying, yeah, but, what about? And time is our friend, not our enemy. And I just feel like a vote tonight would be putting unnecessary pressure on the different gears of this of this machine that is simply just avoidable if we took another month, sewed up the ad hoc here, at our next regularly scheduled meeting. Agenda item number 1 is, are we having a special meeting or is it the next regular scheduled meeting is our solar meeting? We can schedule a special meeting if it's announced enough time in advance, 10 days in advance. It doesn't have to be the next Tuesday. So I would propose that at our next regular meeting, which is April, agenda item number 1 is set the date for the solar meeting. That will be after the last meeting of the ad hoc committee. All things going well, we will have the document from the ad hoc committee, and then we can have a concrete plan as Mark suggested. That would be my proposal. There is a motion and seconded on the table. We're discussing in the context of the motion on the table. I'm not ignoring that.
No.
Now, just for the sake of rules, because there's a motion and a second, we do not have to vote. There are alternatives to not voting. I can explain that if we get to that point, but I'm just the referee as far as the rules of the meeting are concerned. I want this to be a group effort consensus. let's give this about 5 more minutes and we have 3 options. Let me just jump to it. We have 3 options. We can vote. The motion can be withdrawn, or there is, within the rules, Robert's rules, a motion of postponing that fits this situation where we just need to gather more information before we're prepared to vote. If those are our options, as I understand it, having done a cram session on how to lead a meeting over the weekend.
Okay, so what was the second option? Delay the,
All right, we can vote.
right?
The motion can be withdrawn. There is a motion within Robert's rules called postpone to a certain time, where we say, we understand the motion's on the table, we need more information, we're going to postpone acting on this motion until a certain time. That can be something like the next regular meeting. That can be until after the ad hoc is done. It can be an event, or it can be in a time, from my understanding of reading
Okay,
the rule.
okay, so I would.
To me, that serves us. We're not ignoring the motion.
I would
We're
like.
not going to act on the motion. We're trying to sequence things in a reasonable fashion to keep from beating ourselves to death.
I would like to move.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say, so I'm reading my Robert's rules too. It's a new motion that kind of
It's
supersedes.
within the
other.
context of the
And
discussion.
David was just getting to that, so.
Yes.
Yeah, so I can make a motion on top of the motion that's on the table.
Yes, it has.
My motion would be that we delay discussion to the next meeting, and that meeting be a special meeting before our next regularly scheduled meeting.
Second.
I want to make sure I understood what he said.
So I'm not saying, my motion requires that we have a special meeting before the next regularly rescheduled planning and zoning meeting.
Okay,
So we're taking specific action on this
on a specific date.
on a specific date. It has to be at least 10 days,
We were talking about a window of trying to sew up the ad hoc committee.
right?
That's a narrow window. We scheduled a meeting the first Wednesday in April. There's less than a week.
We can't do that before then? I mean, is that the only?
We can do anything. I'm just telling you, there's less than a week between what we are believing to be the last ad hoc meeting and the first regular meeting. There's 6 days in there. If you want a special meeting before our next regular meeting, are you saying that it should happen between that Wednesday and that next Tuesday? That's my question.
I will say the first week of April, April 1st to the 5th, I'm out of town. And I have a hard time believing, since our commissioners have been working for 6 months on getting a Zoom approved, that it's going to happen within the next 3 weeks. And I would prefer to be in this meeting.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, so what about having the ad hoc? I know, Richard, you've
We
got some
can
issues.
the ad hoc.
Can we do the ad hoc next week? And then have the special meeting in 10 days?
We would only need, you're here. We would only need to sort that out with Jeff and Dustin. So your motion would be, what?
That still puts you first week, first special meeting.
Yes,
You meet next week with the ad hoc.
yes.
I said, we can't announce a special meeting before the ad hoc meeting?
No,
Like, you
It
can't-
just needs
I've
10
got to
days.
post it in the paper 10 days. I'm with you there, so, okay. 10 days from next Tuesday, or next Wednesday, is that right? Yeah, it would be the 29th, which would be a Friday, so that puts you into the first week of April. Daniel, when I can post it tomorrow. Well, I can announce it tomorrow. And that'll put you in the week of the 25th.
I'm in,
Here.
yeah, I'm in town that week.
How about that, Paul?
I'm busy on Thursdays, so any other day.
So we're talking
That
about,
works.
the date we're picking is for the special meeting, for the ad hoc meeting.
Special meeting would be the 20, you post it tomorrow. You can do it on the 25th, right?
That's a Monday.
Yeah, any day of the week in the 25th.
Does it have to be the legal newspaper then?
Oh, that's true. And I can't get it in the paper tonight. Because the deadline is this morning.
So to get it in the paper on the 27th, we would need to meet the 28th. You're busy Thursday. Am I reading that correctly?
Well, the next time that I can post it in the official paper would be the 20th. 30 days from now, or 10 days from now.
That should be the 30th.
That's when you're gone.
So is that Thursday the only day we can do it? I can probably move things around. That's our only option.
And we're talking about,
Post the paper.
we're talking about Thursday, the 28th for the special meeting or for the ad hoc meeting?
The special meeting.
The special meeting, and moving the ad hoc meeting to next week on the 20th. Correct?
Yeah, I think so. Can't do it. Can't do it?
No, because
It won't come.
it's the 20th that I can post it in the paper. So the earliest you can
Yeah,
have it is
30th.
the 30th. The earliest you could have it's Friday, the 29th.
Have which?
The
Special
special meeting.
Correct, okay. And you can't do the first week of April.
Dan, you here the 29th?
Mhm.
Let's do that.
Are there any objections to having a special meeting on the 29th, Friday?
Oh,
I won't be able to attend. I'm going to
No.
be family in New York City.
yeah.
But as long as we have a.
Please, quiet, we're juggling 15
No, I
different
was wrong.
schedules.
I'm not in. No,
Oh, it's what? That's Good Friday.
Tell them the next regular
We can't
meeting.
be here the 29th.
that would be the.
It's a good day to have it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we're in the second week of April
Yeah,
for the special meeting. That's Good Friday, thank you.
So it looks like we can't have a meeting before the 9th.
Okay, so let's back up. We're still talking about moving the ad hoc meeting to next week on the 20th.
I'm in favor of that.
Okay, and we will have our regular meeting on the 9th with, I assume, a normal agenda at this point. And we will still be targeting sometime the week of the 15th for a special meeting.
We can't just table it to our regular meeting?
And,
Do we know how many?
Let's get the ad hoc over with, though. to your-
okay,
Yeah.
If we can add it to the regular meeting, let's just do that.
As
So-
of right now, I think I've just got one zoning.
okay, so let's do this.
I can not put anybody else on the agenda.
You can either withdraw or we'll postpone to the next regular meeting. And we'll target the solar discussion for the regular meeting in April.
April 9th? Regular meeting?
Yes.
Do
That,
the ad hoc the week of next week. We'll do the ad hoc
Yeah.
next week.
yes.
20th? 20th, okay. So reads my motion.
Okay. So there's a motion to postpone taking action on the motion to do a ban on commercial solar until our next regular meeting in April.
With the provision, we get the ad hoc done on the,
What did Derek
Next week.
say? Does he have a full meeting that evening? No, just one.
Do you still second?
So second.
All right. It's been moved and seconded to postpone until our next regular meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
There's 3 oppositions. Just make sure I heard correctly.
That's correct.
All right, so we have a full house. The chair votes aye to postpone. That's 6-3. We will deal with this on the agenda of our next regular meeting. Thank you. I appreciate your patience. Thank you, Mark. Next agenda item. Next agenda item is Sunshine Meadow SD 2304 is old business that was tabled from our prior meeting. Mr. Page is out of town. And he is going to. Let's see. I'm just trying to do 2 things at once. Just give me a minute while I get him. Hello, is this Mike Page?
Yes.
This is Paul Porter, the chairman of the Planning and Zoning Committee. We are calling you to join our meeting. As I understood, you were out of town. We have reached your proposal on the agenda. And so we are ready to roll with your case. So my first question is, Mr. Page, is there any new information that you have for us regarding this plat that you didn't share with us in the first meeting?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm getting a huge lag on the phone. Are you able to hear me okay?
I did hear you, yes.
Okay. So is there anything new that you have to share with us regarding your plans?
After reviewing it, I believe that we've done the appropriate steps. Going through all the measures required. Everybody's okay.
Yeah, we got the doors open. We're trying to get some fresh air, so.
I understand. But I think we fulfilled the requirements of the county for about everything, the zoning requirements as well as the sanitary rules. We don't need to do any deed restrictions or POAs.
Hey, we gotta stop talking, folks.
Half of the saturation rate that's required. I think it could be 2, and I think we're averaging 4, so I think that should help make that a little more feasible, I think. But anyway, no, I don't believe I can do anything else.
Okay, does anyone on the Planning and Zoning Committee have questions for Mr. Page?
So he had a study done? Is that what I just heard?
So there was a new study that you've done on that property, or was this information that we had before?
No, that's all information that you should have received to begin with, a hydraulic study from the water district and all the information that we went through with Darren and make sure we're in the flood zone and then all the county requirements, and of course, working with our survey group to see if that was going to be feasible to get you a preliminary plat. So I think we're in shape.
Hey, Darren, I got a question. Were you going to check with some group on this?
Yeah, I can't. Do
Do you have a report on that, or?
Yeah, we'll have him share his findings. Is there any more questions for
I got
Mr.?
one question for Mike.
Yeah.
Mike, when we did the comprehensive plan several years, 2 or 3 years back, we designated an area in northern Linn County that was set up to build where you build the type of building you're setting out to do with this 10 acres. It's right beside it. you haven't bought the land yet. Why didn't you just try to buy land in that designated area?
Well, if you're looking at the dynamics of trying to do something like that, one of the huge things you're gonna have to overcome is water availability, infrastructure. You got a paved road. As far as being in the growth zone of Goodrich, or I believe that's a recommended item, is what Darren and I discussed to begin with. It's a recommended area, not necessarily a requirement. Then the lay of the land, I mean, how are you going to develop a piece of property that's lends itself to having multiple lots on it, just anywhere? If you go to the very west end of this newly, I'll say newly, I've been there a long time, but a lot of us, but the road's been paved probably 15 years now. And there's 4 or 5 new homes sprung up down on the west end. And of course, new homes over on the east. And that's kind of what you like to do, is to be along good access and good water, good infrastructure. So that the property lends itself to that.
Thank you.
Any more? Go
So
ahead.
did you say that you were going to like finish the one house and then do the second house and then do a third house? Is that how you were going to do it?
Well, quite frankly, the land will be for sale. The first 5 lots of phase 1 will be on the east half of that. And so that land will be, and the home will be for sale immediately. I mean, and then as those properties sell, then we tend to take the funds and develop the west half, the west 5 lots of it. So, but I think it's fair to go ahead, instead of doing a minor subdivision requirement, to go ahead and fulfill the entire fulfillment and lay our plan out for everybody to review. And of course, we're going to be a county specified road or per county specs over on the west side, and that'll be part of the final planning of it, as well as infrastructure will have to come into their water line. I like this. But that'll be the second phase of it.
Any more questions for Mr. Page at this point? So Darren, if you could share your updated findings with us.
I have spoken with the county legal counsel, and they said that the above regulation that is highlighted does not give instruction on what to do if a soil analysis is done and fails. Therefore, he said to go with the sanitation code as followed. I have spoke to KDHE. They will not come and look at the property and give an assessment. Doug Cole, the district supervisor, said that the county has an adopted sanitation code and that should be followed. The state does require a stormwater pollution prevention plan that is turned into the state. Staff would like to remind the Planning and Zoning Commission that this is a preliminary plat. If this is approved, it would give Mr. Page permission to move forward with the final plat. The final plat is accompanied by engineer studies and drawings that address issues such as stormwater. The final plat is the instrument of survey, right-of-way and easement, and special notations required as a condition of platting by the Planning Commission. The final plat is where the Planning Commission can influence and development of the subdivision. And I also would like to remind everybody that this property is not in a floodplain.
Any questions for Darren? Now, given that we haven't done plats a lot, the final plat, if there's an approval for the preliminary, final plat comes back here for an approval again, basically same process.
Yes, but it's more detail. Like I said, you get into stormwater, get into easements, the road. Obviously, the survey will have all that detail on it.
Any other questions for Darren? If not, let me first make it clear, I do not want to redo the last meeting for the sake of time. I would first like to ask if there was someone who did not present concerns in the gallery who has concerns or would like to comment on this project, please come to the podium, tell us your name and where you're from, and you have a couple minutes to share your concerns. Go ahead. Please state your name and where you're from and what are your thoughts?
I'm Jan Longenecker. My northern property boundary is approximately 800 yards south of this proposed development. We all moved to the country or live in the country for a reason. And those of you who live in the country would oppose any development like this near you. There is spatial separation required. That's why this gentleman is asking for a deviation from that. So it was foreseen by those who planned, and every county has something like this. They saw that people came to the country for a reason, and they didn't want this kind of development. So, absent any emergency or exigent circumstances, I do not see how you could possibly approve such a development. If you have approved this development, then the 160 acres on the northeast corner and the 160 acres on the southeast corner, which are bare ground, are automatically approved as far as I can tell. You have no reason why you could not approve those once you go off the grid and approve a project like this. All the stormwater off of this development goes by my house. So I'm very much against it for that reason, if no other. That is solid rock up there. If you're going to plant a lawn, you better bring in a lot of dirt. And there's going to be a lot of runoff just from those homes that would be there. How in the world you get a sewer system, I have no idea. We all live on rock in Linn County, but nothing like that. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
New information.
Hang on just a second. Is there anyone else who did not speak at the last meeting who has something? I'm sorry. Go ahead. I saw you. You did not speak at the last meeting? Okay, just hold that thought.
I'm Charlie Singer. I got the land to the north of it. Well, Mike told me about it a while back. He's talking two houses plus the one that's already there. I didn't have a great lot of objection, but 9 houses. If I worked several years ago on a deal like this over at Drexel, Missouri. Go across the railroad tracks and go about 3 or 4 miles south. If you guys care to drive over there, it looks like a ghetto. And that could be that way this house deal could be. And it's solid rock, like Jan says. Like, be a good place for rock quarry. And there's a foundation there, and I dozed it in here a few years back, and it was on. They didn't really need a bit of concrete floor in it. There wasn't one there. Solid rock.
Okay, thank you for your comments. And go ahead. Please tell us your name, where you're from, and then give your comments.
My name's Kate Howard. I live at 16934 Grew Road. My home is directly south of this property. I've been a resident of Linn County for 3 years. Prior to that, I served 4 years in the Marine Corps, and life was really hectic. I needed to settle down to simple life, the country, and the peace and comfort that's provided has saved my life. And all my neighbors that are here tonight, even though I'm going to be the one sitting on my front porch looking at subdivision, I'm really thankful that y'all showed up here tonight. My uncle sent a lot of emails, done a lot of research to say his piece. My uncle Jeff, he's down here from Iowa, and he's dedicated a lot of time here tonight to be here at the last meeting as well. My grandma, I thank you for all that you've done. And I just want to say my piece. I didn't say anything at the last meeting, but thank you for listening.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank you for
your
your
time.
service.
Is there anyone else who did not comment at the last meeting? Go ahead.
My name is Jeff Whitehour. I'm from Lamar's, Iowa. I've owned the property southeast of the proposed division for about 20 years. My family's in Linn County, and we decided to expand our agricultural operation because of the open door policy and the opportunities for ag in Linn County. I think you people have, this group has well drawn out, well planned future ideas for the development of the county. I understand expanding your tax base and improving your infrastructure, and those things are important to everybody in Linn County too. But I urge you to follow the guidelines that are already in place. They were placed that way for a reason. And I think if you uphold those guidelines, you will well serve the people that you're supposed to serve. There was mention of an email that maps out several different points that honestly contradict some of the things that were brought up at the last meeting. I urge the group to take an extra minute and have my brother-in-law recite the points that he has sent to you guys in the email for the good of the group. Again, I urge you to follow the rules that are in place, and good luck with your decision.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who did not comment at the prior meeting that would like to comment tonight?
His brother-in-law.
Jason Cahill, y'all know me. Different subject, same scenario, I think, folks. Y'all can't pay attention yet. You live around a bunch of country folks that moved here for a reason. Solar farms and subdivisions ain't agriculture, and your county's pushing back at you telling it now. Wake up.
Thank you. So we'll take a couple. If you have new information, we'll do a couple. I'd like to continue to move things along. Is there something, some new information from someone? We're doing a couple. Go ahead.
My name is Shirley Kinder, and what I have is a map for you that I'd like to pass out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you look at this map, the orange little square on there is the property that is in question. And if you look to the left of that square, that is my house. And I look out my kitchen window and I see one house on that 40 acres, which I expected that house to be there, but I did not expect 9 more to join it. And I look across that house into the next parcel, and what I really love to see there is cows. And the cows come and the cows go, and currently there isn't any, so I'm just waiting for them to come back. But if you set this as a precedent, as approving this 40 acres, I'm going to see a lot of houses that I don't want to see. And and it's potential that the acreage right next to it would be also subject to more houses. And if you look on that road, I highlighted all the houses that live there. I mean, the people, and this is where I got my information. It came in the mail, I think. I bet you got one too. And it's a nice, very quiet neighborhood. I mean, there's just not people that live there. And this is my ideal of Linn County, not 10 houses next to mine.
Thank you. I appreciate your time. We'll take one more with additional information. Sir.
Well, my name's Nathan Howard. I spoke at the last meeting. I sent you guys a detailed email. I think it's probably pretty clear that I'm an opponent of this so-called the subdivision proposal. You know, to kind of talk about something that Mr. Page said, no offense to him, you know, he talked about not getting some other property that's already zoned to try to do this. So if you look at the plat maps, Mr. Page owns 66.3 acres south of Parker that's already zoned urban mix. What he won't tell you is that that's the property his house is on. So if this was a simple fact of building houses for the need of residents moving into Linn County, he already owns the property. 66.8 acres. That's a lot of houses you can put there. He just doesn't want it next to his house. That's the problem. So I would be very remiss in not reminding everybody that this is outside of the boundary of countryside, outside of residential. This is 100% agricultural land. And it's not going to change. The county deemed in the comprehensive plan where the countryside was going to move to, where they were going to, you know, recommend people live or try to get people to move in there. This is still outside of it. This is nothing but a business development for the sole purpose of making money for Mr. Page. Plain and simple. There are other options, but this is the most cost-effective way for him to do it and make money. So I would urge you guys to take a look in Linn County and go by those values, by the comprehensive plan. And I'm really glad this is happening on the same night that the solar happened. Because like the gentleman said, it is pretty much the similar thing, just a different version. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate your comments. So just going to discuss amongst ourselves. Is there any questions, clarifications?
One thing I wanted to talk about that wasn't mentioned this meeting, but I think it was last meeting, that these homes are set to be sold in the $300,000 to $400,000 range. I don't think anywhere in the comp plan is there is to gentrify neighborhoods, turn them into fancy residents that most of Linn Countyans probably can't afford. I mean, that's well above the average property price just for a home and some acres. I don't think this is anywhere in the comprehensive plan that says this is what we should be doing, and that's just another opinion just on top of everything else that everyone else has said.
Any other comments, questions, clarifications?
I'd like to clarify the map. Highlighted Dave Fisher on there is not me.
Yeah, I saw that.
Another Dave Fisher.
Anything else? Also, just for clarification, as Darren said, this is a preliminary plat. So if there's nothing else, then it seems we're at the point for vote. Is there a motion to approve case number SD 2304 for the preliminary plat for M&M Adventures LLC on this property?
So could you just explain what a preliminary plat is again?
So a preliminary plat is an idea of what he wants to do. The final plat will have the actual survey It'll show easements, it'll show the road, it'll show, all the infrastructure, if there is infrastructure. So this is just approving him to move to the next step. Basically, the preliminary plat is either a yes or no answer to move forward because of the expenditure to do the final plat.
So I'm understanding, Mike, that you haven't purchased the land yet, is that right?
No, we have not.
But if you receive the preliminary plat, you would purchase the land.
Yes.
Seems like it'd be better to, if we're not for this, it'd be better to deny it now before he gets the land.
That's what we need to do to vote. We need a motion and we need a vote.
I'll
So,
motion that we deny the plat, the subdivision plat.
I'll second.
been motioned and seconded that we deny the preliminary subdivision plat. Is there any discussion?
Well, I think Mike's trying to be a businessman, and he wants to seize an opportunity to make money and to pursue his businesses. I don't hear anybody here thinking that's a good idea. I haven't heard anything from this meeting or last meeting for people that support the building of the subdivision. We, in the comprehensive plan, we did make an allocation for that. Doesn't happen to be where Mike's at. But there was no opposition to that. So I have to go back to those days and think, well, we passed that and we set that in there and everybody that wanted to got to look at it and said that was okay. I mean, this is a close one. This is really a close one. But given the lack of people who come here and say this is a good idea, that weighs heavy on my mind.
Well, I'm going by what these people said, that nothing but a pile of rock down there. How'd you get your house in?
How'd I get my house in?
Yeah,
I bought it.
no, if it's a pile of rock,
No, he's asking you basically an excavating question. How did they put your house in the ground?
I have no idea.
So-
I'm not on that rock. We have a walkout basement.
But I lived in the house she lived in for a while. They couldn't get the pipe down to get it there to get depth. The septic tank is way away from the house to get any depth and fall stuff. You just have to come up there and show you. It's set on rock too. Perfect.
I do have a habit of coming out when there's questions about it, Mary, because I really want to see what you all talking about. Things like that, you know. I'm hearing it's just a bunch of rock and everything else there. And this guy wants to put money in for development.
Just come up and we'll take care of it.
All right, let's keep the comments between the planning and zoning, and we're discussing, there's a motion moved and seconded. So that we're discussing, the motion was worded in the negative to deny. So is there any other questions or discussion regarding the motion for clarification amongst the planning and zoning?
Well, just like Rich said, I think we really need housing in Linn County. We really need that, but I haven't seen the support.
We also need affordable housing.
Sorry.
We also need affordable housing.
Right. And I haven't seen the support from the people about that, so.
Anything else? Okay, the motion is to deny the plat. All those in favor of denying the plat, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed to denying the plat, same sign.
Aye.
Okay, which one opposed? in favor of denying the plat. The plat is denied. The next item on our, I'm going to hang up, Mr. Page. Thank you for your help. Okay, if you would please take your conversations outside, we do have another issue or another thing on our agenda. So the final thing on our agenda. We could talk over. CUP 24-01. This is the quarry over on over by Youth Front. Sorry, drawing a blank. Could we please close the door so the conversations can? Thank you. Is there anyone here representing the quarry that has new information for us that we're not able to share at the first meeting?
Is there anyone here for them? Is there anyone here for the quarry at all?
Yeah, is there anyone here from the quarry project?
Yeah, saw him a minute ago.
I'm not trying. Looking to see if Matt was still here.
I think he was that one.
I didn't hear what your question was.
I was looking for anyone here from the quarry project that has new information for us that would be in addition to what was shared at the first meeting.
I'm not aware of any other information. Any other information? Ask questions.
Next we would ask Darren to share his updated staff findings. Oops.
So at the last meeting, you spoke about conditions to be added if it was approved. Here is a list of conditions if approval is granted. Must comply with all state and federal regulations. Permits be kept on file with Linn County Planning and Zoning Office. Hours of operation 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Heavy equipment, hours of equipment shall not include maintenance on equipment, loading or unloading of equipment for transport operation that occur indoors and operations necessity by emergency situations. No storage of explosives, ingress and egress to 2400 Road. Conditional use permit to be renewed in 5 years. Set specific truck routes, dust abatement, berms and buffers to be seeded with grass, and pre-blast survey.
And a road maintenance agreement.
And a road maintenance agreement. Oh, let me turn the page. And a road maintenance agreement.
Do we have any questions for Darren about these additional?
Is this right next to the other quarry or
Across the street
across the street?
at an angle.
Okay. East or southwest?
Southwest.
There's a picture of.
Oh.
That.
Here, I got a close up.
So I know usually in there it talks about environmental impact study, and I know that you said that you had one done, some kind of environmental impact study, but I'd like to see that done by a third party. I mean, usually for quarries, I think we do environmental impact.
So you also asked me to look at other queries.
Right.
Conditions added to, this rock quarry, Wade's quarry, Must comply with all state and federal regulations. Permit be issued for 6 years.
And I know that one of the issues you're saying is a lot of the ones don't have those. You know, I've been on here for 25 years and we asked for them. Somehow they just didn't get on there.
And I don't have an answer to that.
I know. So,
This one here is for mid-state materials. Conditions, continued compliance with all county, state, and federal regulations. Conditional use permit approved for 10 years.
if we had Dave here, we should- So what do you all think about that? Isn't that in the,
Yeah, you pulled it up last time. I can't
right,
remember what article it was
for
in.
environmental impact study?
Say that again. I didn't.
Was it an article?
Article
16?
16.
Uh-huh. I mean, it seems like that's just one of the things that we're supposed to ask for. I don't know why it's not on those other permits, because I know it was asked for before.
I don't have Article 16 in here, Daniel.
Let's see if I can find it.
That could be quarrying and mining. There it is.
Find it.
Yeah, 16406 is quarrying and mining. Says Article C says applications for new quarries, expansions of existing quarries, or other mining operations shall include environmental impact assessment. Said assessment shall address areas about which the planning commission or county board may require additional information and which may be the greatest potential for harmful effects on the health, safety, and welfare of the community, such as noise and vibration impacts, water impacts, safety and nuisance potential, geological impacts, wildlife and ecological impacts.
I'd like to see that on there. And like, I think you said at the last meeting that you had one done, but I mean, I'd like to see it done by like a third party. I mean, who did you have do it before? I'm talking to the gentleman behind you.
Oh, sorry. I am the consultant for the rock
Right.
quarry.
But I think you're the one that's.
And within the application itself, there are various sections that covers what I would say would be environmental impact study. For example, existing conditions, the flora, the materials that are out there, the fauna, the flood zones, the cultural resources, blasting, groundwater, noise, surface water runoff, air pollution, fire hazards, soil erosion, screening, dust abatement, setbacks,
So who-
reclamation plan.
So who did that study? I mean,
These were finished and provided within the application materials that were provided to you all.
right, but who put the answers down there?
I did.
Okay.
And so typically the procedures that we go through before you can get any kind of a mining permit issued is that all the agencies are involved there. So let's say, for example, to get a stormwater management plan for this particular site, if they're going to release water. Before they issue that plan, the Corps of Engineers is contacted. Fish and wildlife people are contacted. All these people, you have to go through all these formal processes, which takes several weeks and which is quite a bit of time to do. And so what we do based upon our experience, I have a biologist that works for us. We work with the Corps of Engineers all the time. And so basically, as we reviewed the site, we went through and filled out the different aspects within the application materials that were here. And we provided those to you or to Darren or whomever. And so that's sort of where it sits now. And typically the first step is that once a quarry is approved at the zone, we can't submit these things to these other agencies because they come back and say, is it approved at a local level? So sort of the first step in the process is getting the local approval to get out all of the other aspects that can enter into it. And then ultimately they will issue the permit, or they will say, we can't do this, we will not issue this because of certain things. Bats is a good example. Whenever we get ready to do, when we get ready to do this permit, I guarantee you that the northern long-eared bat and other bats are going to show up on this particular list. And then they will come back and we say, here's what we've done. We have very few trees out there. We have water habitat that's there and adjacent. The bats use this area for a feeding zone at different times there. And they then come back to us and say, if you're going to clear trees, then we require that you clear them during this period here because that's the least impactful. And so there's several different things. Prairie mole cricket. If it's a native grass prairies that are out there, we go through and look to see if we think it's the right type of habitat, whether or not the prairie mole cricket would be there. If we think it is, we tell our client, look out, the prairie mole cricket's out here, you're probably not going to get your permit issued. So that's sort of what we've done in a preliminary sense for the quarry, is that we've gone through and looked at all these. We've provided answers to you and or to the other people here. And to me, that's sort of an environmental assessment. An environmental impact statement has a certain connotation that's, I mean, it's much more.
I guess I've always just thought that it would be like a third party company that did that and would let us.
He's a third party.
I am a third party.
He's a third party.
Yeah,
I am a third
he's the
party.
hired third party engineer.
I'm an environmental
But he's
consultant.
working for them.
As a consultant.
I
Right.
am a consultant.
Anyone would be working for them if they hired them.
So, that's not how we think about it in our plan. I don't think in our regulations when we do it. So.
Well,
What do we usually require for environmental impact?
I don't know. It doesn't say that.
This is the first time we've done it?
Yeah.
So we just kind
Well,
of
yeah.
decide what we require?
I mean, I've always, it was another company that did that. You know, I mean, I'm not saying that you're not telling the truth. It's just that it's like, I had never realized that the consultant for the company that's going in there is the one that does the answers. So. Huh?
Who else would you have do it?
You could, well, I mean, we could have a list of companies that we would have do it.
They have to be familiar with the operation and they have to be familiar with what they're doing. So I think they have plenty of third-party qualification myself.
But again, this is just the first step. I mean, there's checks and balances all the way up on this thing. You know, again, I was involved with the comprehensive plan and we talked about needing economic drivers in this county. We just can't sit back and not pay attention to the economy in the county that we live in. I think that this is an economic driver. I think that our permission doesn't really go any further than just the next step, which you have all these checks and balances to be met before it can become a possibility.
I feel like there's a rock quarry right across the road, and I don't see the benefit of bringing another one to the county personally, because all those houses right around there. I can tell you if that was my house sitting there, I would definitely not want this committee to approve a rock quarry being put in right next to my house and that blasting being done right next to my house. When there's already a rock quarry there, there's one in Mount City, there's one in Centerville. We have plenty of rock quarries in the county, in my opinion.
We have a gentleman sitting here.
Before we get-
right in there with it.
Sorry, hang on. Before we get too deep into our own discussion, I want to give opportunity for, that's okay, for anyone who did not comment at the last meeting who has something to say in this meeting. Please tell me your name, where you're from.
I'm Charles Reinerson, live at Lacine on 2000 Road. I lived for years right there by the first rock quarry that Wade's had, and it was never a problem. And I don't see a problem with having another rock quarry for some competition. Since Wade sold it out, that rock quarry's been sold twice, and the price keeps coming up, and the quality of the rock keeps going down. And the county's buying that crap, and I'm pulling my car in my garage, and the slag drops off of it. So I think we could do a little bit for the county here and get some more competition.
Thank you. I appreciate your time. Does anyone else from the gallery have comments that did not comment at the first meeting? I forgot. You have additional comments? I remember you. Do you have additional comments? You spoke at the first meeting, correct? He's home.
My name is George Nonamaker. I live right across the street from the youth front camp on the northwest corner of this acreage that we're talking about. And notwithstanding the testimony of the remarks of the blasting gentleman that was here last time, about staying within the parameters of blasting, the 2 inches or whatever it was. They did not have a good answer about what happens if there's damage to my home. And basically the response was get a lawyer. And I would ask anybody here if they'd like to be faced with that. I have serious concerns about the noise, personal reasons. That is, the noise of the blasting be very upsetting to me. Very upsetting. So that's all I have to say.
All right, thank you for your time. I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Tell me.
I live at 23420 Valley Road. As you can see, I brought a map. Have you guys been to the site or have you seen it? So you know how close all the houses are to it? Okay, well, I won't go over what we all come here last meeting and complained about, but I do want to read something off to you guys. And this is from the comprehensive plan that you guys put together. And it's goal C, quality of life. Enhance the overall quality of life for those who live and work in the county. You have 3 objectives. I'm just going to skip down to number 2. Improve support services and access to care for all residents with special attention to the needs of veterans, active duty military, elderly, and youth. As Mr. Nunemaker spoke last time, he is a veteran. He is a disabled veteran with PTSD. This could be pretty detrimental to him. So that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. We'll take a couple more of additional comments go ahead. Yeah, go to the microphone, please, because of the streaming. It won't pick you up if you're not at the microphone. Please remind us of your name and your association with the project and make your comments.
Dean Manuel with Austin Powder Company, and I'm here on behalf of the quarry this evening. We do work all across North America. We're a global company. And so I want to offer, a little bit of reassurance here. We're governed by the International Society of Explosive Engineers. We follow guidelines for every state, county, and sometimes they vary a little bit, but we operate within those guidelines. We have programs and software that we use to design all of our shots with. We're not going to design or do anything that might cause damage. We use all the ISE studies to regulate all that stuff. We monitor every blast with a seismograph to verify that we predict what that should be. And then we compare that against what we really get. We use portables. Sometimes we set up permanent seismographs. We videotape every blast. And it's never our intention to design anything or do anything that might cause any kind of damage or harm. I understand this gentleman's got, some concerns, and I appreciate that. We're willing to sit down with anybody, talk to anybody about it. I'm confident that the company, the rock quarry, is willing to provide pre-blast surveys, provide that to anybody that wants it on any of the properties anywhere around. So I just wanted to reiterate, I'm here. If anybody has questions for me or concerns about the blasting and what we do and how we do it, be happy to answer.
So if you did a pre-blast survey and then, like if we required a annual survey like that,
Mm-hmm.
and there was damage, does he have to go to an attorney or do you take care of that?
No, we'll come look at it. We'll come look at it. We'll come look at it and we'll have a discussion. What we do, the pre-blast survey people, they go in, they videotape everything inside the home, around the perimeter, door headers, window headers, inside and outside, look at all the sheetrock. And if we've had readings that show we're approaching the limits, certainly we'll sit down and talk to folks about it.
I wonder if they don't approach those limits and
Then the
there's
International,
damage.
the International Society of Explosive Engineers and all their guidelines are saying that if we stay within those perimeters and we're within the prescribed distance, that it's not possible to crack sheetrock. There's, we referenced, and I brought it up last time, and this gentleman referenced it too. So we talk about the state limits in Kansas, same in Missouri, being 2 inches of peak particle velocity is the allowable limit of vibration. Well, that doesn't mean a physical 2 inch of vibration in the ground. You can't see 2 inches of vibration. So there's another safety tool built in there too, and it's something that was designed by a guy years and years and years ago, but we apply it also, and it's called a Z-curve. So we take the amplitude of that sine wave that travels through the ground, we look at the hertz and the frequencies of that thing, and we apply it to a Z-curve. Just because I say that we're allowed 2 inches of peak particle velocity here in the state of Kansas doesn't mean we can't do damage. So we take it a step farther. We apply the Z-curve to what we do. We could have 1.5 inches, we could have a 0.9, and if our amplitude and frequencies are of such, it means we could still do damage. We take all that into account when we design these shots and predict our vibrations. So we will never, ever approach 2 inches. We will never approach the limit. We're looking at this other tool also, the Z-curve, and making sure that we're honoring the Z-curve. Also, the state of Kansas does not necessarily look at the Z-curve. They follow the ISE guidelines of 2 inches. We know that we can do damage even below 2 inches. So that's why we take it this next level. All of our shots are designed with that in mind. I just want to stress that, we're all over the world, the company I represent. We take every measure known to the blasting world to make sure that we don't do damage.
How far do you live from a rock quarry?
Oh, I live south of Sedalia, Missouri. I'm on the Missouri side. And so the last quarry that was operational was about 2 miles from my house. But I've been in this industry for 20 years.
Any more questions for this gentleman? If not, thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
We'll take one more that has additional information. Yes. Please introduce yourself. Tell us where you live.
I'm Zach Walker, and I'm building a house on 23953 Valley Road.
So here's proposed quarry. Here's where I'm at right here, building this house. Obviously the existing quarry here, they obviously blast back there, run crushers, just similar to any other rock quarry. And I wanted to hold this up for you guys just to put it in perspective how many homes are that close to this area. I mean, and not to say, obviously, a lot of these probably weren't here when they put this quarry in, but at this point in time, it's obviously a fairly populated area. People raising families like myself, older people, there's all sorts of walks of life that live right here. That obviously it's most of us have a little nice, quiet, slice of heaven that we have out there. It's nice and quiet for the most part. Other than the noise that you get from the existing quarry, which I do have a video on my phone if anybody wants to see it. I took it of them crushing rock across the road at the existing quarry not long ago. And I will say, in my case, and I think everybody around would agree with me for the most part, that if I had the noise coming from straight across the road from me this way and straight across the road from me this way, it takes a lot of your peace as far as what you'd think that you would get
in this sort of area, when you go sit out on your porch, and I know they touched on that they possibly would be running even Saturdays out there. And just to think that possibly my 2 days that I get off work every day, one of them I could go sit on my porch and listen to a rock crusher all day till 5 o'clock. It's, less than impressive, obviously.
So I am just curious, how many of those houses came in after the other quarry was there?
I believe from everything I read that this quarry was 1967. So
Almost all the houses.
I honestly couldn't tell you whose home was built pre 67 or post 67. But judging from just what you can see of them, I'd say a lot of them are newer than 67.
I'm curious, obviously you can hear the crusher. Can you feel it?
You can definitely feel the blast.
Well, not the blasting, but can you feel the crusher?
I wouldn't say you could feel it, but it's
There's no doubt in your mind what's going on.
oh yeah, no doubt, definitely no doubt in your mind what's going on. You can physically hear them being dumped into the crusher and hear it crushing as you're standing outside. So, and I'm obviously I'm down there every day after work trying to get my house down there done. So I get a large dose of it every evening, every time I go outside. So
In the evening?
yeah, because they crush all the way till 4:30 or 5 o'clock.
Okay.
So I just wanted to kind of show everybody the map and how many dwellings there are near the proposed quarry. Because I would even venture to say that proposed quarry is more in the middle of a lot more homes than even the existing one.
Yeah, that would be my observation as well. I drove the property on Sunday and I did feel like saying that there's a quarry already there is not really a fair apples to apples comparison because of that.
Right. It's in the middle of everyone.
There were homes, except for Highway 69, spread out around the whole property. So
Yeah, and another thing is obviously if I have a north wind, I'm getting a lot more noise out of that. But I only predominantly get affected by, I can hear it always, but it obviously is louder depending on which wind direction you have. But obviously if you have this one, I could have several different winds and still get even more noise where I'm at. Here, doesn't necessarily matter what wind you have, somebody's going to be dealing with higher audible noises coming towards their home because it's literally in the middle of everybody's area.
do we have any more questions for this gentleman?
But yeah, like Daniel said, he obviously stated that if that was in that close of proximity to his home and his neighbors, he would feel the same way. So I urge all you guys to just think about being a member of this area right here and how it could affect your peace and tranquility in the rural area. So
All right.
appreciate it. I
Thank you
appreciate
for
you
your
guys
time.
listening to me.
So discussion amongst the committee. Got a few comments earlier.
Also, just concerned about the roads. There's obviously road issues there already that don't ever get addressed. And whether there's an existing road use agreement in place or not, it's obviously not being enforced. And every week we listen to the county commissioners talk about how they don't have money to fix roads as it is. That's just another concern. I think the more semis we have running up and down the roads, the more burden we have on the county to repair the roads. If we have a road use agreement, I understand it hopefully would take care of that. But
Right.
I also think you're going to run into both the quarries using the same road.
You're going to double capacity that road. You're going to wipe that road out.
You're also going to have whose responsibility is for what, because it's he said, she said, who damaged the road.
And I don't live here, I don't live there anymore, but for about 5 years, I lived about a mile west of that location. And one thing that I think was brought up last meeting, but also maybe some people are not aware of it. There's a Bible youth camp about a quarter mile from that location, and I went there many years as a child, and you can hear it from that camp. Even when it is loud with lots of kids, you can still hear it, and there's dust coming in. And at the time, I didn't know what that was because I wasn't aware of the quarry at 14. But yeah, I think a lot of people that go there are, well, both local residents and also people from the city that come to enjoy Linn County as it is, which is our big sticking point to preserve the nature. And it is a lovely location there that I don't think should be disturbed by blasting and more dust and the constant sound of rock waves. But are we open to any other comments?
Yeah, we're having discussion amongst ourselves. Take a few more minutes.
I go along with Rich. He's toward, we need more economic development in the county. And that's one way to provide it. Maybe a little more competition with the other rock quarries would be good for them.
You know, I live at Sugar Valley Lakes, and on the east side of K7 is Sugar Valley Lakes homes. On the west side is the quarry. And I get up almost every morning and walk with my wife, and we walk over to the toward K7 on our walk, and we can hear the quarry going on, but it's not a troublesome sound. It's just not that loud and not that disturbing. But I hear it, but I'm not bothered by it.
That camp is also in a valley, so it might be kind of an echo chamber happening.
They've dug down. I don't think it's in a natural valley.
The camp is on.
Oh, the camp. We're talking about the camp.
Yeah.
What's that, Maureen?
They usually take those pits pretty deep, if I understand right. And they put the crusher down at the bottom of the pit, right?
I tell you what makes more noise is rock crushers building foundations for houses out there at Sugar Valley Lake. That's a lot more troublesome than the rock quarries aside.
Need a houseboat, Rich.
Hey, Paul, I've got just one comment. Can I borrow your map? Just to back up what you said, I drove around the whole. You know, what I disagree with this is it does not fit the character of the neighborhood. Character of the neighborhood of this quarry out there, there's no homes. Here, there's 10 homes around this quarry. 5 of them are within 500 feet of the property line. So they're close. So as far as the character of the neighborhood, this pretty well illustrates that neighborhood is not the same as this neighborhood.
And also the park is across the street.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd like to add, I'm all for economic development in an appropriate setting. But if we were to each consider ourselves as owning a piece of property that close to something, would you really support it? Would you genuinely support it if you lived on one of those pink dots? And I am 100% for economic development for our community, what it will do. And I'm not against another rock quarry. And I think it would be fantastic to have another rock quarry because we don't have a lot of competition to hold the pricing down. If they came down on pricing and the county could make a negotiation with the mining company and we could buy more tonnage for the same volume of money that we're spending, I'm all for it 100%. But I don't know if that is the best location for it, given the current situation of having the amount of homes with the close proximity that these homes are that bound up or back up to the boundary of this quarry. So I just want everybody to know that I'm for the economic development. I'm for another rock quarry. I'm for having more competition. But I think given the current geography of everything in the position of all the existing homes there, I think we need to take that into serious consideration. And I urge you guys to think, if you lived in one of those pink dots, how would you truly feel? How would you truly feel?
Well, it's my understanding that the location that's been chosen is because of the quality of the rock.
I understand
They
that.
have no other quality of rock to that,
Cadmus has really good rock too.
that high level. So
No.
that's what my understanding was.
Do you, go ahead and step up. Why don't you, just for the clarification on Morgan's comment, I remember it was specific, or maybe you need to fill us in, just to re-explain why that particular location was what it was. It had to do with cement grade. Lime.
Great, yeah.
It's class 1 concrete rock.
Okay.
The second seam up there does make class 1 concrete rock. I've got 8 different locations. We do not have a class 1 concrete rock for the state of Kansas. That's the main reason why. It's the quality of rock. I don't know what makes. I mean, I've got rock that's hard. They said soft rock. I mean, but it does have a class 1 sampling done
How thick
on it
is the
already.
seam?
The cabinets for it, it's both called Winterset, but
Yeah.
it's the way the topography is and also the way it was
Little softer.
formed, it doesn't pass, and it's on
As
state
the
of
class
Kansas-
one.
State of Kansas has said that.
Okay.
So that is,
Okay.
that's another thing.
What are you guys projecting, harvestable capacity out of that quarry? What's your projection on, based upon the thickness of that class 1 concrete rock? How many years worth of crushing will you have there, do you think?
Well, it's hard. City moves down, it's gonna be a lot more, some quarries run out in Kansas City, it's gonna be a lot more, but if everything kind of stays like it is, I would say probably 30 years, somewhere in there.
Okay.
But that's kind of hard to. But
No, I would say
just
kind of a guesstimated.
30 would be safe.
30 would be safe.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Was there something else you needed?
Yes, I wanted to talk about, everybody's concerned about their basements, and rightfully so. Everybody works hard every day to, pay for their house and have a good lifestyle. I respect all that. I went to the end of Valley Road in 2400. Gary Karnowski lives there. That house has been there for 45 years. I walked around his foundation today. As a matter of fact, I talked to him, got his permission. We get along good. I've never had any trouble with him in the past. He had one small crack in his foundation. One. It's been there for like a good 40 years, maybe possibly longer. And we blasted prior to all this happening. We blasted about, I think it was 70. I measured it as 78 yards from his house. And that was before the professional company, Austin Powder, was doing it. We did that in-house. We didn't set up anything to measure,
Austin Powder actually blasted at Wade Quarries.
Yeah, they did it in the later years when, yeah.
Okay.
And
Another thing I want to touch on is population density. You go up to 167th in Schweitzer. There's a quarry there currently. They're building $1 million homes all around. I feel like mulberry limestone and its neighbors can coexist if they work together and try to move forward, and everybody can benefit from something. If you get all the naysayers in here trying to, say this or that, then very little progress can be made. But if you get people to work together on something, then good things can happen. And I think great things could happen for Linn County if they went ahead and went through with this. I believe in being a brother's keeper and taking care of my neighbors. I always have.
I do know one thing,
And
Summit.
another thing I wanted to say is I talked to George before all this, and I talked to Ryan, and George seemed to be okay with it. I gave him the option of where he would like me to put an entrance. And I told him that where the best place would be for the entrance. And he said, nah, I really wouldn't like it there. I said, well, I can put it here, be out of the way. The prevailing winds will still take it away from the house at Youth Front, which, by the way, there is a quarry on Youth Front's property right now. And we could probably make that work. And the gal that lives in that house is completely fine with it. She sees the economic benefit for Linn County. And George, at that time, I like George. I respect him a lot. But at that time, George, for whatever reason, he did not say anything to me about his PTSD And I'm not saying that he doesn't have it by any means, but for whatever reason at that time, it wasn't a huge concern for whatever reason. Yeah, okay. Well, anyhow, I'm not trying to, I'm just stating that, you know, everybody's throwing out the facts here and I'm putting out my facts.
All
And
right.
that's it.
Well,
No,
appreciate-
like I said, I like.
We don't have a problem calling him whenever we blast, and we
Yeah.
talked about it last time. We would, that is not a problem. Dean Manuel and his blasters would be no problem calling him and telling him, hey, we're getting ready to blast.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you for the additional information. And is there
I would
more?
kind of say something, Summit, which owns Ham Quarries, all they do is just keep going up on their prices. I think their base rock's $20 a ton. Where I'm at down there in Pittsburgh, we're $8.50 a ton.
And they're also selling for $6 a ton down there, and they're charging you guys $12.60 a ton, I believe. And I think they had a meeting with the commissioners, I believe, or somebody, and they don't plan on going down.
They're not
And
going
then
down.
if he comes in and starts crushing rock, and they go below him, wouldn't you question their integrity?
I
how they've
would
been
say
dealing with somebody
the
for,
county
you know,
will say
4 or
$3 to
5
$4
years.
a ton on rock. So
And that's a lot of money.
the driveway entrance is another thing I wanted to cover. In Pittsburgh, we're accessing the state highway. We've got a concrete driveway entrance. That's what I would recommend putting in out there in order when we access the county road. So you're not coming up on a hump. You're not tearing the county road up. Whenever you access it, you're already level with the road. We've put 2 driveway entrances in.
All right. Well, thank you for the additional
Okay.
information.
I
Appreciate
guess
the
the
time.
last thing is, we're willing to work with anybody and everybody to make things better. And if anybody has an issue, I don't think with some time and amount of money, anything can be fixed.
Very good. Thank you. Any more discussion amongst the zoning committee? Are you prepared to make a motion and come to a vote?
One thing I would like to iron out is the pre-blast survey. What kind of schedule would that be on? Would that be yearly? It will opt in, and what kind of radius that would be around the project?
So that would, I think you can answer that question.
Or what we can.
With what frequency?
Yeah, normally the quarry covers all the cost, or the company that wants to open the quarry, they cover all the costs for all the pre-blast surveys. That's all a third-party deal. We use a couple of different companies that we recommend to come in and do them, but they can use whoever they like as well. Normally, it's an annual thing. Come in and look at it from year to year. We have places that do it one and done, and you know, that we're there 2 or 3 years on a particular project or something like that, and then we're gone, and they only do it once in some of those instances. But we are in a lot of places that blasting will go on for 40 or 50 years, and it becomes an annual thing.
So it's the owner of the company that pays for it?
Yes.
So how often would you pay for it?
Annually.
Just asking. I know, I just asking him. I don't want to hear it from him.
We've already said this.
Pre-blast survey, I mean, we'll pay for it right up front. And if we need to come back every year, we'll come back every year. I would say it'd be up to the homeowner. If we got a crack in the basement, I want them down here. We're gonna find out. We're gonna get to the bottom of it. Like I said, last time, my mom's house is 5 miles away from a rock quarry. It cracked, but it cracked right out of the window. And I had a guy come in and fix it. We're gonna get to the bottom of it. We're not gonna leave the basement cracked. We're not gonna be pointing fingers. So,
You know, if things are.
if a homeowner, if he has a problem with his house, hey, we got sheetrock cracked, let's get him in there. Let's look at it. Maybe it's cheaper to go ahead and fix the sheetrock. I don't know why the sheetrock cracked. I mean, I'd say let's fix it.
I have seen circumstances before where, you know, somebody has an issue and we might be back in there in 90 days or 6 months and recheck it. And I have also seen places where We agreed to do an annual inspection like that. No problems, nothing going on. Never do another inspection. Do the one and done unless somebody calls and says, hey, I've got some new problems.
But if he calls, I guarantee, me and Jake are gonna go over there, we're gonna check it out. And if it needs fixed, let's fix it.
And what's your estimated average blasting frequency? If I remember right, it's like month or something.
Well, you're probably gonna be a couple of times a month, maybe, to start with, and when they really get fired up and get going, you know, it'll take a little, your frequency will be a little bit higher to get a hole opened up and get started.
Okay.
And then once you get it opened up, and then it'll settle out and be very regular then, you know, no more than once, twice a month.
But I do know one thing, the rock is laminated. It won't take much to crush, just to shoot it, not compared to Missouri rock.
It depends on what their needs are and demands. You know, I'm just a blasting company. I can't say what their frequency based on their needs is going to morph into.
I hope the county, I haven't checked exactly how many tons they would haul off of Summit out there, but if they need 50,000 ton, I mean, you're talking one blast a month, be 25,000 ton after you got a hole opened up.
It's not really my arena, but I mean, the demand for rock in this area is the demand for rock in this area. I don't know.
There won't be double the trucks.
No,
Sure.
I don't think you'll see everything double because of this. I'm just speaking from experiences that I've had in other areas over my tenure in this business. The demand is the demand. If you need 100,000 tons of rock a year now, I don't see that demand going up unless you're starting to build a lot of homes and a lot of infrastructure. That's the only thing that's going to raise your demand. I think the additional quarry will bring the competition to the table and help control everybody's price.
But anybody wanting to build though, that's the first thing they do is check what does it cost to start building. You need a pad, you need driveways, so I think we can save the county $3 to $4 a ton on a lot of the rock. 50,000 ton, I mean, you're talking $150,000. So they would be able to buy extra rock, do extra projects in this county, chip and seal. I'd have to see what they are in chip and seal rock, but I can tell you what we are down there in Crawford County, so.
All right. Well, I appreciate the additional information.
Okay.
Any more discussion amongst planning and zoning? Do we have a motion?
Make a motion, we accept it.
Been a motion to approve the conditional use permit. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Any discussion?
I just think that this is a highly, highly regulated industry. We're the first ground floor approval. We're citizens. We're not scientists. Because I understand that as the checks and balances go higher and higher, there's more scientists and there's more science to what gets passed and what gets regulated. So I think it's a safe endeavor that benefits the county.
And just to clarify, this motion is with the additional conditions, the set truck routes, dust abatement, berms and buffers that are seeded with grass, pre-blast survey, and road maintenance agreement. Correct?
And all
All the ones before that. There was a mention of operating on Saturday. Any opinions on that, or just leave it as is?
Aaron had operation hours in his.
But not
conditions
day,
of
but not
operating.
days, I don't think.
Oh, okay. His
Yeah.
hours.
It just says 7 to 5.
What do you think of the, what?
Any other
think it
questions?
should be, think it should not be on the weekends?
Really? Yeah. Not around the weekends. Aside from maintenance and whatnot.
So we've amended,
A quarry across the road can run on weekends.
Well, we weren't there to put the conditions for that quarry. Seems like they're not following them.
any more discussion? We comfortable with the conditions? We amended them to say not on the weekends for the hours of operation. Other than that, they remain as they are. Okay, we have an open motion. If there's no more discussion, we'll have a vote. All those in favor of approving the conditional use permit with its additional conditions, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Maybe we need to count.
We got 3 opposed. Okay. So we have 6-3. Motion passes. That is our last item on the agenda. Unless there's anything else, we will adjourn. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much, everybody. This meeting is adjourned.
What's that? Oh, that's
Paul, you were prepared tonight, weren't you?
Yeah.